Hello everyone. So enough of my pictures. I guess I started thinking of let's use someone else's images and memories and see how it impacts. So I started with this camel painting. I can see how the photographer focus was more on the camel and Chachu's you were already not part of it. So I decided let's give the camel full limelight. I would blur the memory of the characters with acrylic. Again, I'm giving a wash. As I said, acrylic is quick to dry and it helps you give a opaque color on the characters and it helps you remove it, gives me a blank surface to work on. Finally, adding some details, the mountains, the water, and I am making it look as if the camera is sitting, enjoying the scenery. I wonder, is it this easy to remove a memory of the past and forget about the time that has been spent? It just needs one stroke. That's all. That's all that was needed. One stroke, and everything is gone. Don't we do the same in real life, just like this painting? There is so much beneath the oil paint layer. There's so many faces and expressions and feelings behind it. And yet, in the end of the day, we just paint, brush it smoothly as if nothing has happened, and there's nothing beneath it. Though there is a chaos, and look how calm the sea looks while I'm painting it, but no one knows the struggle it took even to repaint the image that you have, the memory that you have. It's not easy. So when I am painting these images, there are thousands of thoughts that are running my head right now. I'm sure those who are watching this video, you are feeling the same. So when I'm done with this work, leave a comment and write any one of your memories that you never want to be erased. So I'm finally giving it a final touch. There is a bit of trick while making mountains. The mountains which are far away, they are always blur and shady, very much mixed with the sky color. And the mountains that are near to you in perspective should always be crisp and should have darker shadows. It's tricky with the water also. If you are trying to make sea sometime, remember there is no crisp line of where the sea ends. It just very smoothly merges with the sand. It has to be painted like that. I know the sea that is very far away, you can see the crisp line, but the part that is near to the sand will never have a crisp line. So I'm trying my best to bring the shadows in order to differentiate between the sea and the sand. I usually don't like scenery paintings. I feel they are very boring and they're just tricks and tricks, nothing like that. But I really enjoyed painting these. So the teacher inside me couldn't resist. When I picked this one, this beautiful scenery was spoiled by the photographer. He did not apply rule of thirds, where this could have been a perfect photo for a couple. So I'm simply going to remove these three from the story as easily as people remove others from their lives just because they cannot bear each other. I think now acceptance is so rare. I mean, world is fighting for rights for transgender and rights for animals to be accepted. I would suggest first find acceptance for people living with you. There are all kind of personalities. Accept them for who they are. I would want my child to understand that charity starts from home. I can see how these days families are being separated by just simply asking the other person to leave the space. I mean, I do celebrate giving some space to each other, but I do not support living separately. That is not how a tribe or a community is supposed to live. I wonder, Abu, I wonder how did you teach us that? Is it by living through the example? Because I know you have never complained about other person? Or was it by staying busy and focusing on our own lives? I don't know how. But I want to teach the same to my kids. I love the beauty of acceptance. It has more value rather than solution of tolerating. Tolerance has a shorter shelf life and there is no inner peace in it. But when it comes to acceptance, it's about letting the other person feel comfortable in that space. That is why I feel the generation that I am in and the generation that is coming after me are more accepting, and acceptance has acceptance towards other personalities. But the generation before me, they have always been tolerating, because of which, as I told you, the shelf life is very less and short. So now they are done with it. And so while I'm painting this photograph, you can see that it also has tones of burnt sienna, that is a tone of brown. There is a bit of white and some yellow. While I'm doing this, the beauty would come out not in the buildings that is behind, but the building they are standing on. The difficult part is making these jhal, that I would call, making the lines that is going to be replaced by these three characters. It's going to be tough. So I just looked at it very carefully, the other shadow, that how the shadows are falling at one angle and how highlights are going at one side. So I'm going to follow that and give those lines of highlights. But I'm not using direct white, I'm adding white and burnt umber so that the highlight is of the similar tone. And I can see that the sunlight is not falling equally on every part. So I'm trying to bring on shadows and midtones also. Now I have to add the dark tone. I can see there are some shadows here. So I will add on to that. Thankfully, while I'm doing it, it is automatically, because it's oil paint, it's wet, so it is removing the paint from within. So that is happening by itself with the help of the paintbrush. And I'm soon going to do this. I know this would be easier with Photoshop, right? I can see that. I'm just gonna add few building strokes, adding some mid-tone of burnt sienna, and I'm giving these shadows of buildings that I can see that is in the background. And I'm gonna take a darker tone and give these lines and strokes of shadows on the structure. The whole play of giving tones and color is adding highlights and shadows in this one. It is not about bringing the exact color, it is about showing that there is a building and there are windows behind it. So I'm gonna try and link up the buildings and create stories, the continuation of it. I'm gonna give some shade here. I can see there's a bit of purple tone, so I'm just going to take a bit of red and a bit of blue, give it these strokes. Can you see over here? There. I'm just going to give some highlights and now complete the sky. This last picture is left. I'm going to give some shadows here, some crisp shadows to make it look complete. And I'm gonna finish off with the sky again. The sky is there, so whenever you're painting, never remove the old paint from the palette when it is oil. You can use it. An artist always uses the old paint. I always do that. I So last but not the least, this image was taken by my husband's dada of my dadi, that was his sister, dated 1950. This was the old house, so I wonder if she didn't exist, would I be here today? Though I don't have much memory of her, was too young when she passed away. But I have always, and now even more, felt as if all is like a story yet to be unfolded. So this house is very nostalgic for my in-laws and for my own family, my dad, and this is their Nanyal, and they all have amazing stories to tell me every time. When they are gathered, you can listen up to these stories, and they're interesting ones. How they have spent so much of time together and enjoyed such great time having beautiful house, old architecture. I know it is very romantic, and yet there are more stories that are not very pleasant to listen to, but maybe some other time. So I am trying to eliminate her, and I'm going to see how I can bring in the shadow. And I just realized the shadow in these old pictures are not black. There is a tone of gray in it. So I'm quickly first gonna make this floor, gonna add it in a brick style, because if I leave a patch, it does not leave the same impact. So I have to make sure the strokes that I give is very similar to the bricks that is laid upon it. And now I'm adding shadows. So when I'm looking at it, the shadow is not crisp black, so I have to add a bit of gray in it. So thank you everyone for bearing with this video. Leave a comment and press the like button if you like the video. The trailer of the next one is coming up. A very special guest is joining us today.
I don't want to say anyone's job is easier. Obviously, that is something that we have a color wheel like this. So just please be careful when you're going out and looking for something like that.